Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Let's Play Third Odyssey, Back to the Motherland. Last time around, we had a couple of little things that happened, and honestly, the most major of all of them was the fact that I went to war with the Iroquois after getting their one and only ally over here as my subject, diplomatically. I went to war with the Iroquois and took basically half their remaining territory off of them and got war reparations from them as well. And as you can see from our list of rebels right now, the local population of the Iroquois is not too pleased with that because they are trying to rise up against us, which is why we have our army of 25,000 stationed up there to do something about it. We also have a bunch of religious conversions we need to get on, pronto-like. So I should get started with a couple of those. Other than that, the major thing that happened is the fact that I became a great power. And as I was saying last time, I really don't know much of anything about the whole great power system, so I can't tell you much about how that whole thing works, because I've never really used it, because all the countries that I play as in EU4, on the occasions that I do play this game, all the countries that I do play as, well, they're never the sort of countries that end up becoming great powers. With the exception of when I play as the Ottomans, in which case I just basically ignore the great power system because I'm never playing in a way that encourages diplomacy or subtlety or anything. My objective as the Ottomans is usually just conquer all the things. But aside from that, we're still in our little pseudo-arms race-like thing over here in the Caribbean. And, well, Castile is kind of being a dick because they're stealing territory that we would like to have for ourselves. I'm gonna have to probably take that off them in a later war or something, because I'm focused right now on colonizing Florida before they get their grubby little mitts on it. So we'll just have to leave them to that. I'm also pretty low on manpower right now. I say pretty low, I'm like 10,000 below my cap. And more natives are converting to our culture, which, I said this before, I'll say it again, I really like how they do the event-based cultural conversions in this mod. It's kind of awesome. It really just adds to the flavor and everything that you can see. You can have some events turn up as we get an automatic colony. Down in Florida, speeding that whole thing up. But yeah, I just really like the whole event-based cultural conversion, because we've been ruling over them for long enough, and what with my current native policy of trading, we aren't being too dickish towards them, and are pretty reasonable, so they would be quite fine with the fact that we're ruling over them. So we just sort of let them do their own thing, so they just sort of adapt over time to our culture as the Elysian Empire. And I just think that's a really nice way to do it, because I don't have to spend any of my points on converting the culture anywhere. Which is another thing that's kind of nice. Especially because I literally never convert the culture anywhere in my empire. It's sort of a rule, an unofficial rule that I have going on whenever I'm playing somewhere. I never do cultural conversions. I just let everyone keep their culture. I do religious conversions all the time, but cultural ones I just never do. That's just never a thing that I do. I just think it makes things more interesting and adds some more dynamics and flavor to the way my games turn out if I just don't culture flip provinces and let them stay as they are. But the way they have those cultural conversions of the natives and sort of the different sections of the empire splitting up along different cultural lines based on where they are and how close they are to the core region and everything, I love it. It adds so much more flavor and depth to things, and I just absolutely adore that. And I wish that the core game would do something similar, I really do. It would just make it a whole lot better, in my opinion. And on that note, I'm honestly not sure, but I'm kind of curious, does Mayu and Taxes do anything like that? Because that'd be kind of cool to find out. Because that's another mod that I occasionally find myself playing, but not often enough to remember the little details like that, but I do remember that being a really cool mod, and one that I always kind of liked playing. Culture conversion done. So, sorry, culture conversion? Religious conversion. Let's move on to another one, and separatists. Iroquois separatists have turned up. Unfortunately for them, they are right next to my army, so I hope you've updated your wills recently, because you is dead. That didn't last long. Nice and short little rebellion. Heck, it wasn't even really a rebellion, it was just an excuse to give our army some target practice. Really, if I'm being totally honest, that's what that was. Target practice for the army. It wasn't a rebellion. Native decline. The Barbary councils have declined in influence. They managed to get up to like 34 influence from how they were way earlier on when they had literally no influence at all. Speaking of, over here. Which of my fleets is the non-mothballed one? That would be this one. So I would like to merge these together. Right here, I'm going to start making these guys my actual combat fleet, I think. Speaking of fleets, I am going to build up this trade fleet a little more. Because that's literally all that fleet there exists for, is to make me money by protecting trade. We're apparently going down in innovativeness a little bit. Okay. That's nice. native assimilation. Let's go up a little bit. That's in Pontano. Which, if you're wondering about the reason my population, or income has gone down, rather, and we're producing cotton there now. So that should help with money. The reason is because I have 3 colonies is in place, so I'm paying maintenance for 3 of them. Because we got that free event where some of our citizens wanted to go off and do some colonial stuff on their own, and we let them. That is basically what's going on there. The one over in Hike, or Hyake, up here that we inherited when we won that war from the Iroquois, that'll be finished soon. So I can just put that colony in the one of these places that's not got one yet, and that'll fix our money problems. Tobacco in Mayaka. Which is our other colony we're doing down in Florida. Once I get my next colonies turning up, though, I'm going to try and slap one down on that last available province in the West Indies. Down there. Oh, well, I say last available province in the West Indies. In the Kylandian Isles. I'm always forgetting the name of that province. After which time, I think I'm going to see if I can't get some of Cuba before the Spanish do. Now, we failed to get Jamaica down there. But I would like Cuba and the Florida, Cuba, and the Bahamas if I can manage. Unfortunately, just to switch gears for a moment, we have a bit of a diplomatic issue right now, in that I have a bit of a hit to my diplomatic reputation because I've recently annexed some of my subjects. We had one vassal up here that I had to annex in order to be able to remove a penalty I had with these guys from being too far away with them. Since, from what I can tell, it calculates the distance based on how far you are to them, not how far you are to them, including your vassals as your territory. So, yeah, I had to do that to deal with it, but it gives me a bit of a diplomatic reputation penalty right now. Annex subjects wear off in 2 years, though. Then I'll be able to annex the next of my subjects. Probably... Actually, we'll move on to that in a second. Next level of military technology for supply limit and military tactics. Ooh yeah. And we have an upgrade to our artillery coming very soon. We do indeed. So, once my one missionary here finishes his job, I think that we will start a few more conversion projects to get everyone's religion on the same page. As I said, I may not be converting people to my culture, but I am sure as hell gonna convert them to my religion. And now, that for the time being... Actually, forget that. These guys can move off and try and do a little bit of exploration around. I'd like to explore where I can, after all. May as well. Converted to the faith, and next level of diplomatic technology. Man of war. We can slander merchants, and it gives us more naval morale for that. It's my admin tech that's really lagging behind at the moment, really. I focused way too hard on both expansion through war and giving myself the entirety of my first idea group as fast as I could, basically, is what the problem was. Okay. Those two can do a little bit of conversion. Our truce with Catalba has expired, but, well, they're our vassals, so it's not gonna affect us. And peasant revolt in our subject. Okay. I don't think so. Prepare to die. Prepare to die. I didn't spend the effort to establish control of these nations as vassals just to let them fall to insurrection. And that went nice and fast. We'll siege it down and be done. Varangians defend Basilissa, aka the Empress. Neo-Constantinopolis is abuzz with commotion, and as news spreads throughout the city that a knife-wielding assassin attacked the Emperor and his entourage this morning. Though a high-ranking noble was killed in the struggle, the captain of the Varangian Guard felled the assailant before he could escape. Unfortunately, the identity of the would-be assassin and their employer is a mystery, though we have our suspicions. We could just congratulate the Varangians on a job well done. We would gain 5 prestige and lose 5 unrest in Elysia. I don't believe we actually have any unrest in our capital, do we? Indeed we do not. Minus 14 in fact, so... no point in that. But given the other options would all piss off one of the various factions, let's just congratulate the Varangians on a job well done, I say. We'll just pat their leader on the back and say, well done. We'll just leave it at that. No need to ruffle any feathers. No need to ruffle any feathers. Trade protection CB against Spartania. So Spartania are being dicks. This is a surprise to no one, least of all me. For the time being, I'm gonna hold off on any wars, I think. Though a couple of these native tribes down here are probably gonna be incorporated into one of my vassals, so that we can use them to expand a little bit. That's the plan, anyways. As soon as I have the manpower I need and we've pacified these rebellious natives for the time being. At any rate, that's what we'll be doing. We'll have two groups of rebels going up against us soon. That's just lovely. Both at 90%, but on the plus side, we have a big enough army to deal with this. So it won't be any sort of long-term problem. And Anna the First has undertaken a set of measures to reform the military system of our country. The tactical innovations include shallower and broader formations to maximize firepower, cross-training between the army branches, and light, highly mobile field artillery. The new tactical doctrine is based on firepower and mobility, eschewing heavy artillery and slow-moving terraces. Invest in higher quality troops. I want that army tradition, damn it. I want that army tradition. And quarantine the port, please. I'd rather not have half our population die from a pestilence outbreak or something. Election in the Holy Roman Empire that we don't care about. That's lovely. And we have a religious uprising in Vinland's territory. Well, Vinland might be my subject, but at the moment, I don't particularly care about the fact that they're having problems, and in a lot of ways, I'm glad they're having problems. Speaking of subjects, Mohawk here, who are fucking tiny, and at this point, completely and utterly irrelevant, because of where they're located, among other things. I think we want to annex them. We would, but annex subjects is no longer affecting us now. I just have to wait out the month. So we'll go on with the annexation, and it will be done by October 1549. I will get the less useful vassal out of my hair. These two down here I'm going to hold on to because they're very useful for dividing up the territory of the local natives and such in the area. And unfortunately, I missed out on the chance to grab that bit of territory, so yeah, fuck you guys. Seriously. Fuck you guys. You are just the worst. Another revolt. Well, you can die. And our conversion has succeeded. So, wait on that place to be converted, and then we will see. Okay. No debate in the Senate as well, so let's start one. Fund the expansion of the bureaucracy. Meritocracy. And admin support. There we go. Just sort of to get that particular advisor thing to shut up for me is my main reason for doing so. I think I'm gonna hold off on any conversions for the time being, though. Just until some of my current colonization is done. And there we have yet another revolt. Go and deal with the rebels, if you would, Perseus. There we are. Deal with the rebels. And there is a finished colony. Let's see here. Send our colonist. And then we can actually be colonizing these places properly. Also, recall the diplomat from Mohawk. We are annexing them now, so no need. Convert. Okay, we're making quite a lot of money now. That we're no longer supporting 3 colonies at the same bloody time, some with no colonists. So I can afford to start work on converting another place to our religion, I think. It strikes me as being an eminently good idea, quite frankly. We have one more group of separatists who have got to rise up. Enough, though, and my manpower is only about 2,000, well, closer to 3,000 really, away from its cap. So once I've resolved both of those, I'm going to go down here and deal with some of these natives, incorporating them into a couple of my subjects. Cherokee, I think, is first on the list. And now it is 1548. Time is ticking along for us. And we can purchase another ability with our Splendor. So let's pick up Religion Enforced, just for the heck of it. Mercenary conversion on its way. Wood clearance in Mayas. Base tax and base production. Excellent. Very excellent indeed, say. And our trade fleet is doing its job very well. Also, bribes are becoming more accepted, so that's lovely. Some free corruption. Wonderful. I'm gonna have to put some money into actually dealing with corruption soon enough, but for the moment, I can't be bothered. And I almost didn't think of this, but if this fleet over here is going to be my primary war fleet, then we should have our one capital ship there for it. Now we have a dead advisor, a military one. Get us a discipline advisor, I think. There's also been another revolt in the province we were converting, so that's annoying. Now we have to stop converting them. Albeit not for long. Because none of these rebels can actually stand up to my army right now. Because, at least for the time being, that army is big enough and my nation is small enough that I'm capable of taking out all the rebels anywhere in the entire country with this one army. Of course, at some point, I will reach the stage where I will have to start fielding multiple armies and spread them out in order to be able to maintain order if I have a lot of rebellious places all over, which is inevitably going to happen at least one stage or another. Now these guys are over here, we can do that. Merge them together. And let's see, what have we got for ships over here in this fleet? Since I'm finally starting to put the effort into building a proper military fleet rather than just a trade one, I should get myself an idea of where things are with that, I think. Conversion done. For there. Now, there are only 3 provinces that are not of my religion, so we'll begin converting one of them. And, speaking of which, we're about to get another one on that list. Actually, no, we're not. I didn't realize this before, but Mohawk up here is already Hellenic because I sent my heralds to convert them, which helped out with that a great deal. Speaking of which, I wonder, I wonder. Are there any other nations near us that we can convert? And possibly, can I use my great power influence to make them break their alliances? Seeing as I was considering a war with some of these guys. Appalachia and Creek. Well, I would actually like Creek to involve themselves. Those other guys would just kind of be a pain in the ass. They don't want to do that, annoyingly enough. Let's see. Let me see. Well, both of those colonies down in Florida are about to finish up. One of them should be next month. And the month after will inherit our new vassal. Well, I was a little bit off with that, it seems. I was indeed, see. Our conquistador has just died, though. So let's get a new one. Mohawk has been annexed. Our colony down here is now self-sustaining. So let's continue colonizing our way down Florida. That way we can, at the very least, have all of Florida in our grasp before any other power gets to it, because that would be rather nice. I'll probably have to write off Cuba and such, but Florida and possibly the Bahamas, I think we can fairly easily get our grubby little mitts on. There's 3,000 more men that we got out of the annexation of our vassal, though. Castile, you are dicks. Building a spy network within our territory. I do not appreciate that. I do not. And Portugal is not down for an alliance. I just had to check. After all, yes, they're not interested in an alliance. The Kykelandian Islands. The islands to the south of our great nation have undergone quite a shift in recent decades, being relatively isolated from the rest of the empire, and their Elise cousins has allowed the settlers to adopt some of the strange customs from the native Taino, which is a form of ancestor and nature worship, mixed with our own beliefs. This has led to the creation of many smaller communities divided along ancestral lines, with a focus on maritime trade and piracy. Well, as long as they serve the capital, I suppose, that's fine. And as long as they don't embrace some filthy heathen religion or something, or God forbid, Christianity. That would be just terrible. It really, really would. That'd just be the worst. Okay. Well, I think it's time that we started to deal with some of our neighbors and incorporated them into a few vassals. So let's send the army down to start addressing the problem. And our colony has become self-sustaining. So we send off another colonist to get started. I'm colonizing another little bit of Florida. While we're over here, I think I'll just drop by and kill these separatists. They've literally been hanging out in that tiny little enclave for basically forever. So I may as well. That's my thinking. More fertile valleys, or more development. Let's drop a save, just for the heck of it. And now, Creek as well. They will be getting invaded. But these guys first. So I will declare war on the Yamasee here, and I'm going to again partition their territory between my vassals. Creek will wait until we're done over here. Crush them. And let's move on. Then lay siege with what we need, and the rest of my forces can depart for greener pastures while we're busy doing this. Growth of the printing industry. The ability to mass produce the written word would revolutionize the speed of information, and in many ways, the early modern society as a whole. Pioneered by Renaissance men such as Venetian printer Aldus Manutius, the new art helped fuel the Renaissance by making the translated classics more widely available. Later, the Reformation benefited greatly from the ability to spread critical publications and translations of the Holy Scriptures. Now that printing has matured as a technique and spread throughout Europe, editors have grown, and hundreds of thousands of copies of everything from religious and political pamphlets to instructions in how to behave or scientific treatises are circling the continent. With print shops growing ever more commonplace, rulers have found it hard to contain the new technique, as the comparatively easy means of production and means censorship can be sidestepped by moving businesses across a border, or even just changing a name on a title page. This changes everything, and the printing press institution will now start to pop up. Maybe. Now, do that. Okay, so one of our vassals is having some issues over there, it seems. Let's try and send the rest of our army over to deal with that. But I don't foresee this lasting too long. And they've already dealt with it, so I'll just keep my army over in Oinos here for rapid response and such. And now Creek has been fully occupied, and we just have one more province down there we've got to take over before we're done. That conversion into the proper faith is finished, so I'm going to wait to do the next couple for a little bit. And actually, this army can go down and help out that siege. Speaking of sieges, we have now won our siege. We have now won it. So all of their stuff is fully occupied. Let's see here. I'm going to need to take over everything. These two provinces. They are both going to Catawba. While Lipan here, they get everything owned by Creek. I don't want to upset the vassals, so we'd best give everybody something. And now, let's crush these pathetic little armies. And then once we're done with them, yes, once I'm done with these guys, we should be able to get the treaty that we want. That's my hope, anyway. And these guys had a little bit of territory that I didn't realize. So let's take that, and we'll have to take it for ourselves, but I'll be immediately handing it over to our subject. That's 90%. Let's see. And they will go for it, because we have them fully occupied, and I have basically annihilated their entire military. I think I'll take what money I can off of them. Actually, no, it's only going to be 2 gold, so it's not even worth it. So, let's just read over the terms real quick and make sure I'm getting what I want. So, Yamnase here will cede their provinces to Catalba, our vassal. Creek will cede all of their provinces to Lipan, one of our other vassals. This will cost us 73 diplomatic points, and we'll gain 20.3 aggressive expansion and 8 prestige. It will establish a truce that doesn't matter because everyone participating in the war that's not us or one of our subjects will cease to exist as a result of the war. Yeah, There we go. Now, can we sell them a colony? Current... Sorry. Let's go to subjects. Lipan. Let's see if we can grant them a province. That is currently being colonized. Filock. It would appear that because it's being colonized, we can't grant that to them. So, I'll just have to deal with this for now. But yeah, that was a nice easy war. I am certainly not going to complain about seizing some more land. And seizing land using vassals is definitely my favorite way to do it, because I do not have to put up with the headache that is dealing with overextension and such. We just put that off on the vassals to handle. So this becomes their problem. Speaking of, I think that Cherokee should be on my list next. We build a spy network in their territory and then use that to get a claim, and I grant all of their land to the Shawnee. Strikes me as a somewhat brilliant move, and we just put off dealing with any insurrections on our vassal. I don't see a problem with this idea, quite frankly. Even if the Cherokee population will probably be less pleased with it. And there's been a diplomatic insult with one of our vassals. No, we are not going to start issues with one of our subjects. That's why they're our subjects. Because they work for us. That is why they are our subjects. Because it benefits us to have them as our subjects. Oh, and that province is making fur for us. Speaking of, let's do a little bit of religious conversion. and Creek separatists already. Yeah, I don't think you guys are gonna get over there anytime soon, and I just want to put down this rebellion fast. Plus, from an extremely cynical point of view, the way that this emperor or empress probably use these uprisings is most likely going to have something to do with the fact, as we begin to produce gold in a province, one of the more cynical ways that we probably view the whole thing is that rebellions and uprisings are a way for us to train our military. Which is definitely a little bit on the cynical side, but you can't say it's untrue either. You can't say it's untrue. For the moment, we will keep having our explorers press east and find what they can find. And we can apparently build a gilded keep. That would be interesting, and definitely an intriguing way to show off just how rich and amazing we are. But at the same time, that would be a staggering amount of loans to take out, so perhaps later. That will enable a decision that can let us do that. Oh, it's surely going to be quite handy. We integrate more natives, which is always nice. That's the end of some truces there. The end of some truces. Province wants to establish barbaric councils. Fine, go ahead. The Spartans have also decided to go all Stalin-esque on us and start purging their leadership. Lovely. Just the kind of people that you want to have around you, isn't it? Apparently we could potentially get the Cherokee as a vassal if we wanted to. Also, I can finally get level 7 admin tech. It's taken us long enough. We really gotta get that up there. Everything else is shooting ahead of time, but admin tech, not so much. Also, we can do the next idea slot, whatever we end up going for. Let's see. What do I go for? There are a few things that kind of stand out for me as options to consider. There's religious ideas, obviously. if I get to the end of that one, then that's a permanent CB against people not of my religion, which would definitely give me an easy way to expand without having to rely on spy networks and everything. And that would speed up my wars and stuff. Then there's quantity ideas. With the way I tend to play, having a very large army that I can use to just throw large numbers of troops at my enemies is a strategy that I use quite often. So that would enable me to get started with that. Just the first one, just more manpower by 50%. That is incredibly helpful. It really is just incredibly helpful. There's always naval ideas, of course, because I'm definitely, regardless of whether I decide to actually bother with retaking my homeland and taking back Constantinople and Greece and such, naval warfare and stuff is going to be a pretty big thing because, well, the Spanish, with them taking all this territory we'd like for ourselves, then I'm inevitably going to wind up in conflict with Spain. That is pretty inevitable, so getting some boosts to my naval abilities would be quite handy. It would be. There's always expansion ideas, of course, because I'm doing a lot of colonization and that sort of expansion, and being able to do it faster would definitely benefit me. More settler chance, more colonists. Because if I went that route, then by the end of it, I would be up to 4 colonists. And a bunch more global trade power. So that's worth considering. Yeah, there's a couple of these that I'm thinking about, but honestly, even with the fact that I am doing a lot of peaceful expansion and Navy would be quite handy, and religious wars would solve a lot of the issues I'm having with how long it takes me to be able to start waging a war. Really, I think quantity ideas is the one for me to go for, just because with the way I play, having a bigger army would probably be the largest benefit to me personally. So I'm going to go for that. And since we're currently quite far ahead in our military technology, I can afford to spend a little bit of power on the first thing in that group immediately. So we will straightaway get a bunch of national manpower recovery. Levy en masse. We have up until now been very choosy over who should serve as a ranker in our military. We only took the poorest and most desperate, basically the people no one else would miss. Now, though, we are going to open up the ranks to everyone who isn't rich. That's national manpower modifier plus 50%. Oh yes. And then we can immediately do this again for manpower recovery speed, because let's be honest, our manpower is quite slow to recover in a lot of cases, so this would be quite helpful, I think. And that has also unlocked our third national idea. 5% more tax and 0.05%, well, just 0.05 reduction in monthly autonomy. Nice. And that has shot our maximum manpower all the way up from 17,233 to 31,500. So yeah, we'll be having quite the large army, as soon as we can afford it, that is. Once my missionary finishes up, I'm going to let the others wait to do any missionary stuff from there on. And yeah, just look at that manpower shoot up. That is just so amazing to watch. It really fucking is. By the way, we're about to take a loan to do something about a plague, so yeah. Quite a big loan, and it's gonna take us a bit to be able to pay it off, but oh well. Also, Cherokee. I think I will take a claim on your territory. Going to wait until that missionary is done doing his job, though. Then we'll start this war. Yep, that's up to quite a bit of money. So come on then, lads. Up and at 'em. Their ally is quite distant, so no need to worry. Get on it, boys. Get on it. We have about 8,000. They're sending around to bully our vassals. And this is just kind of delicious. Those guys crushed the rebels we were fighting for us. Quite generous of them. Thank you. For now, the army can move on down and destroy their forces while I finish up my siege here. By the way, how much? 276 to repay that loan. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, our army can stick around there, and actually not. Oh, by Zeus. These little armies are such a pain in the rear. That is definitely one thing that I have noticed. What with having a very large stack of troops. Okay. Two significant settlements, many days of travel between them. This has compromised our ability to defend the province. Well, I suppose we'll just have to build another fort then, won't we? Going to have to wait until I have a bit more money to pay off that loan. Oh well. And ticking war score for the win. They are at low war exhaustion, though. We do have to wait, however, because these guys are not too willing to do what we would like and surrender properly. Send my army. Need to chase the bastards. And my other army to chase them from the other direction. Caught you. Send your little poxy stacks after me if you like. But we've got you regardless. That was that entire force wiped out. How are you feeling now? Huh. Suddenly they're a lot more enthusiastic about my peace offer, despite the fact it's going to involve their total annexation. But I don't think we're the ones who will be annexing you guys. So sorry for the confusion, but you are going to the control of my trusty subject, the Shawnee. And 40 gold as well. Just to add insult to injury, we will take your money before you die. And just look at that loss ratio. I lost 9,000, they lost over 20,000. Wow. That is just the best. It really is. Now, we need to start a debate in the Senate, as these guys want to have their annual dick measuring contest. Offices for vassal nobles will do. There we go. Yeah, that's how I describe the whole parliament thing as it's implemented here. Their annual dick measuring contest. Because that's clearly what it is. They just want to brag about how awesome they are for a while. One of our colonies has become self-sustaining. I'm going to send our colonists over to that one so we can start establishing it with proper Elysian settlers. Also, military advisor, please. Now, let me see. Well, I'm discovering a bit more about the tribes out there, so we certainly have a good deal of expansion to go. That's for sure. We do indeed, Seas. Alrighty. But we are only probably about a couple months away from starting another colony down in Florida. And finishing off that colonization. And wow, this is cool. Civilized natives of Ptolemais have become even more civilized, so some of the natives that were Barbari before become Illyric. I've said this before and I said it again, and I said this before, but I'm going to repeat myself just for the sake of it. I just love the whole thing they have going on with how the native populations you conquer or otherwise get into your empire in this mod actually become your culture over time. It's just excellent. It adds a ton of thematic depth to my playthroughs, and it's one of the reasons why Third Odyssey is one of my favorite mods in EU4, because of things like this. And I just wish more mods did that. Hell, I wish the base game did that sort of thing, and the cultures of locations would convert organically over time like this. It just feels so amazing, and the role-playing depth it adds to it, I just can't say enough good things about this. I really can't. That's one of my favorite aspects. And it's one of the reasons why this is the mod that I have dumped the most hours into in all the time I have played EU4. Like, this is to me what Kaiserreich is for Hearts of Iron 4. It just adds so much depth and so much more to the base game that without it, I probably wouldn't have put nearly as many hours into the game as I have. It's just that good. But anyways, I think we've come to a good stopping point for this episode, so I am going to end it here. Thank you very much for watching. Let's play Third Odyssey, back to the Motherland, and join me next time, where we will probably continue to beat up on some of the natives. Because that's just what we do these days, apparently. See you then.